Today we're going to go over the trap and roll escape. If you've taken some kind of self-defense class, or if you've taken jiu-jitsu and you got caught under mount, one of the most prevalent places you will end up if you get attacked is on the ground and underneath. So how do you get out of that? We'll go over easy way to get out of someone who's bigger than you, especially if they don't have a lot of training. So mount position in jiu-jitsu is where they sit on your stomach or your chest. And who's winning this altercation? Obviously, the guy on top, right? I can't punch him. He can certainly punch me. I've got cement behind me or asphalt. Not a great situation. So here's the trick. I want to get his weight forward. Now, if he's a big, heavy, strong guy, I don't want to try to grab and pull with my arms. My arms are weaker. I'm going to use my legs and my back to throw him forward. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm first going to bring my elbows in to kind of keep his weight on my hips. So my elbows are going to be kind of keeping his hips just above my hips. Now I'm going to bring my feet close to my butt, and then I'm going to bridge. I want weight on his hands. Okay, now I'm going to grab inside out, and I get my elbow above his wrist. I want it elbow to elbow. If I'm down here, you're not going to have the leverage you need. I'm going to be here, and I want to use my back muscles to collapse his elbow in. Okay. Next, I'm going to, so I've trapped one arm. I want to trap the leg too. So my foot is going to trap his ankle here. We'll do another angle in just a second. Then I'm going to put this hand either on the bicep or the shoulder. Okay. Next, I'm going to bridge as hard as I can. My feet are close to my butt. I'm going to bridge my hips up and then look over my shoulder and push with this hand to roll him off of me. So it looks like that. Am I free yet? No, but I don't have 280, 290 pounds sitting on top of me. Okay, so let's do it from this side. We'll end up rolling towards the camera. Okay, so he's on top of me. First things first, I want to load his hips on my hips. If he gets his hips up high and I bridge, see how he doesn't move? I don't have any power here because the fulcrum's my shoulders. And if he's sitting near my shoulders, I can't move his weight. Okay, so I'm going to scoot myself out just a little bit, get my elbows here, but I want to use my elbows to keep his hips directly above my hips. Now when I bridge, I can move him. Keep my butt up in the air, just long enough to trap, elbow to elbow, collapse down to the side, trap his ankle. This foot is going to be my power foot, and that's going to bridge. So I'm going to get it close to my butt, get on my toes, hand on his bicep or shoulder, and I bridge and roll. So that's the basic trap and roll. Now let's look at a couple of variations. Now, if I'm in a self-defense situation and he gets here, well, what's the number? There's two number one attacks that he could do. They are, first off, he could punch me, right? And I can't answer him with my own punches. So again, I want to make sure he stays on my hips so I have the ability to bridge. I see him starting to swing. I'm going to bridge as fast as I can, get his hands on the mat, wrap it up, and roll. Take some timing, okay? Don't just think that you've seen this video and you're going to be able to time it right. You've got to go into a jiu-jitsu academy. You got to work with a family member or something. You've got to drill the timing on this. One more time. We're here. Make sure my elbows are in so he's on my hips. He starts to punch. I bridge. Nobody's going to let their face hit the ground, right? If their momentum is coming forward and I bridge, he's absolutely going to take the hand that's already has momentum going forward and catch his face from hitting the ground, okay? So the second you see him wind up, bridge, trap, and roll, okay? One mistake that is very common here is they miss going elbow to elbow, okay? So oftentimes I see this when I'm teaching a class. They'll come here and then they'll trap here. And instead of the person on top collapsing, the person on top just gets light on this hand, and then all I do is end up moving the wrist. I trap the wrist. That's not going to be good enough. Not if he's actively trying to hurt me. Just catching the wrist isn't good enough. I need to compromise his posture and his position, okay, and get his weight going that direction. The other thing is, oftentimes people will bridge and then they'll put their butt down. So as they go here, the weight's no longer on his hand and he just swims it out. So I bridge, I go here, he swims it out because I release the pressure of my hips on his hips, which forced weight on his hand. So I keep my butt up in the air so there's weight so he can't just easily swim out. Collapse it, now drop my hips and bridge again, okay? So that's the punch. The other number one move would be a choke. If he chokes, it's the same principle. I trap his limbs on one side so he can't post an arm out to stop him from rolling. In this case, I'm going to do both because I don't want to get choked, right? So if you're learning with your partner, don't choke. Just put your hands on the collarbone while you learn the position, then work your way up to full resistance training, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to hook, make two, we call them sloth grips, just hooks with our hands. I'm going to kind of wrap it up over the meaty part of his hand where his thumb is on both sides, and then I'm going to pin my elbows down to my side. It releases enough pressure, so if he chokes me full force, my voice is going to change, okay? Now I can breathe. Then trap the ankle, and then bridge, and get the roll. There are other ways to defend this kind of choke. If it was choking from standing or against a wall, a great option is come here, start ripping fingers off. That's a great defense. However, I want his weight off of me ASAP. So that's why I prefer this one. But if a move works, it works. Also in jiu-jitsu, you're not trying to rip your partner's fingers off. So for training, we often do just the trap and roll instead of trap a wrist and snapping fingers. You lose training partners really fast if you're in a jiu-jitsu gym and doing that. Another one, you can do forearm to the neck. Same idea. I'm going to trap the arm, trap the ankle, bridge and roll, okay? Trap and roll. In jiu-jitsu, from Brazil, they often call this the Upa Escape. But trap and roll is easier to remember for the average person. So there you have the trap and roll in several variations. If they're punching, if they're choking, or if you're just playing the jiu-jitsu game, or if your siblings are just on top of you and you want to get them off. So trap and roll. Have fun with it.